All right, everyone. Well, we are back today, and we are very luckily joined by Gurdarshan and Mangat. So, firstly, look, thank you very much for joining us today. First of all, man, I want to say a big congrats to you, Eddie, and the team for getting the job done the other week against Y2K. Obviously, it looked like a tough fight from our perspective. Your ground game and wrestling was suffocating and was quite amazing to watch. Was there anything that Y2K was able to do that may have caught you off guard during the fight, or were you well aware on what he'd bring to the cage?
I was pretty well aware of what he was going to bring to the cage. I'll give him credit where credit is due. I knew he hit hard and he kicked hard, as a lot of his highlights will show. And he certainly does pack a punch. For a flyweight, the kind of power he can generate is serious. I think it's probably the hardest person that's punched me. Yeah, I can clearly say he's probably the hardest puncher I've come across. Leg kicks were solid too. But there wasn't really anything that surprised me in any way, though.
Gurdarshan, I want to ask you, man, after picking up your first win for this year, is the plan to go back in there as soon as possible, or are you looking to take a little bit of time off just to let the body heal, or you want to get back in there as soon as you can?
I got a medical suspension, which is about 40 days. It's pretty normal. I want the Estaccio fight. I think we both do. But I do want to enjoy my summer a little bit. This fight, I thought I was going to fight in March. Then I was told I was going to fight in April. Then April turned to May. Then May turned to June. So I've technically been over in Vegas, going back and forth since January, and thinking I was going to be done my fight by March, not knowing that it was going to be all the way June. So the thing that people don't realize is I spend a lot of time away from my family, my wife, and everybody. So now is that time where I'm kind of having to balance that and make up for that. But as far as career-wise, I'm ready to go back to camp probably August, September, and hopefully we can do this October, November. But I'll leave it for one to see what they want to do. But I don't really want to. Well, I don't think it's possible for me to fight this summer, though.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. So, look, man, something I want to say is your journey as a martial artist is truly inspiring, as you started your martial arts journey much later than most people, starting your serious journey into mixed martial arts around the age of 20 to now being in an organization like 1FC. You must need a certain amount of self-belief and determination to achieve that level of success in such a short amount of time. Where did this self-belief and determination come from? Was it something you've had since your childhood, or was it something that you discovered through training in martial arts?
Yeah, it was definitely not something that I had in my childhood. And I started actually when I was 24. And started when I was 24, and it's just a journey that I went on day by day. I found belief in myself through the only thing I knew, which was hard work. And it was the only thing I had watched my dad do and working double shifts and stuff. So I really didn't have I didn't believe in my athletic ability. I didn't even believe that people like such as myself, like Indian fighters, deserve to be on world stages, because I hadn't really seen it. Everybody was trying to talk me out of it. They're like, dude, like we don't get involved with these things. Like, look at what MMA is dominated by Brazilians, Americans, like Japanese and stuff like that. You don't see Indian fighters on the scene. So they're like, dude, like, why do you think you're going to be that guy? Because I always say, if you had a room full of 100 people, I'd probably be the last person you'd bet on to be the guy that I am today, including myself. I don't think I would have chosen that guy in the room as that's going to be that guy. If I was watching a movie of my life now, I probably would in no way think that would be my life. But I built this day by day belief that it was the training I was putting in. And it started from literally having no confidence to no belief to day by day I built it. And I still struggle with it. It's something that, honestly, I build my confidence through the preparation I put in, through the sacrifices I do, from the guys that I train with in Vegas to here in Vancouver. That's why I go to such dangerous places to train and train in such discomfort, because I realize that's where my confidence grows, is in those situations.
Gurdarshan, you have several wins in your career coming by way of rear naked choke. And whilst the rear naked choke and the defenses to it are one of the early techniques, that you learn as a white belt in jiu-jitsu, do you think the addition of striking on the ground in mixed martial arts simply makes it easier for people to turn their back and present the submission?
Yeah, definitely. I almost think I got too technical with my rear naked chokes as my careers went. If you watch the first 5 that I got, no hooks, no nothing, and look who just won
Yeah,
the
Yeah.
no
right?
hooks.
I've been doing that. I've been doing that since, like, and then all of a sudden I had to clean it up and get the hooks. Then I almost want to go back because I used to get it from the weirdest position, from the weirdest situations.
Everything our coaches have
Um,
taught us is a lie. You don't need hooks to finish the choke.
exactly, exactly. You just need the neck. Um, yeah, but yeah, the strikes and stuff like that, especially training with the guys that are doing extreme, we take jujitsu and add it with MMA strikes, and we kind of say, like my coaches always say, they're like, we're not looking for the submission, we're looking to them to want a way out, and we give it to them because they don't want to be in the position there, and they don't want to be getting hit in the head anymore. They don't want to be being pounded on, so they'll give us the neck. We don't chase the submission. The submission will give it, will show up for us. So yeah, MMA strikes and strikes on the ground definitely opens that up. That's where it gets all set up. That's why I'm not a big jiu-jitsu competition guy. When I do just jits, I'm lost. But once we put on MMA gloves and stuff, everything opens up to me.
Yeah, for sure. So, look, we asked you a question regarding your rapid entry into the sport and your development, but have you ever had periods where your development didn't feel like it was where you wanted it to be? And how did you overcome that? Was it through changing your mental approach or just grinding on the mats?
Yeah, I've been through several months, years of those situations where I was scared of the competition coming up because I didn't think I belonged in that in those in that level that I was headed. I even had that situation happen in this, well, not in this fight, but um, it was something about looking at the top 5 and going, I just had a moment where I'm like, the only person stopping myself is myself. So it's time to move that person out of the way. Why do I not think I can be champion? Why do I think I don't deserve to be in the top 5? The only person stopping me is myself. And I almost had to move this old version in my head to the side and be like, that's like, I belong in there. And look at all the work I put in and look at all the people I train with, the guys in Vegas. Um, I think the only person that was stunting any kind of growth was myself. And I've gone through periods of that. I've gone through, like, the losses that I went through. I've gone into, like, almost depressed for a year or so like that and realized, yeah, it always comes down to me. There's nobody to blame in any kind of growth stunts that I've ever had but myself. I take full responsibility. I also take full responsibility on how far I've taken it too when I've made it out of those things. But I think every fighter goes through that. And sometimes you don't know how much you've leveled up till you go in the fight because they're training with the same guys every day and they're leveling up with you. So we don't really realize what kind of pace we're training at till we get in the fight. And then that's why you kind of always see me get in the fight and everyone's like, he's moving his volume and everything. I don't really realize that till the fight starts.
Gurdarshan, one thing I always love is a good nickname, especially with fighters. I have a real thing for nicknames, and I wanted to ask you about your nickname, Saint Lion. Give us the origin story, man, and on Saint Lion, because I think it's quite a unique one. But I would like to know where it came from.
Yeah, so Saint Lion, before I ever started MMA, I went to a religious camp, a youth camp. And I went there, and I just went there to kill like a week of the last week of my summer. And people were like, oh, you know what? There's really cool stuff there. And what was going on there was I met these guys that were sick weapons martial artists. So basically, I'm Sikh, I'm sick. That's my religious background. And they were teaching us what the weapons martial art was. And they handed me one of the weapons. It was kind of like a bamboo stick. And I had never done this art in any way. But it almost seemed like my DNA knew how to maneuver it, how to do it. And they put me in a competition because there was an odd number and I didn't want to do it because I was too scared to get hit. I was like I'm somebody that did not want to be in any kind of altercation, any kind of fight, anything like that. I'm not that guy. And they gave it to me and I took out everybody. And
Wow.
then I left that camp and I was just like fired up. And I'm just like, holy shit, like what the hell? That's what led me to find MMA. And then I was speaking to them and they're like, trying to come up with a name for me. They're like, Saint Lion. They're like, Saint Lion because it's like yin and yang. It's like there has to be a balance. So I have to remain a good, humble person outside the cage, always spread knowledge, always have a purpose behind why I'm doing martial arts. But when I'm in the cage, I have to become a lion. That's the balance. That's where my name comes, because it's the yin and yang for me. So that's why the name stuck. And it's always reminded me of what my purpose always is with martial arts. Is I don't need to be in the streets fighting people and proving anything. I got a place for that. But when I'm outside, use knowledge, inspiration, motivation. And that's always been my mission with martial arts.
Yeah, for sure. So, Gurdarshan, multiple times throughout your martial arts journey, you've shared the mat with Demetrious Johnson. Whilst you are now both in the same division and the same organization, can you just talk about the value of being able to exchange your martial arts knowledge with another martial artist of your caliber in Demetrious Johnson?
Yeah, like DJ to me is the GOAT, right? He's definitely one of the greatest, if not. I had the privilege and honor of training with them when I was still just fighting on the local scene. So in Seattle, and I'd be fighting on like the casino, like First Nations, like the reservation shows, and he would be fighting the main event on the UFC. But I would get to go down there and train with them. Like I started training with them from the Horiguchi fight onwards.
Yeah,
which was, I guess, the last 4 fights of Horiguchi, Ray Borg, the two Cejudos fights. I think there was one more in there. I can't remember.
Tim Elliott.
Yeah, so I was still making my way up. Tim Elliott. Yeah. I actually fought on the same day as that Tim Elliott fight. Yeah, so I was in Bahrain fighting, and he fought the Tim Elliott fight. Yeah, and then Tim Elliott and me became teammates in Vegas. So, so just exchanging that knowledge, and now to kind of know. So Bibiano's another mentor of mine, and he's in one championship, and then DJ was in the UFC. Then he came over to one championship. Then I signed there the 3 weeks before that. It just lets me know that I'm headed in the right direction. That everything that I've trained is coming together the way it should be, and everything is timing for me. I've always had to trust timing. Sometimes things have taken me longer. My life has always kind of been like that. Things have taken me always a little bit extra longer than it has taken other people. But I've always embraced that. I've always felt like timing is everything, and there's a reason why everything happens at the time that it does.
Yeah.
Gurdarshan, being a proud man of Indian heritage like yourself, and with one championship having such a big global audience worldwide, and especially in Asia, is promoting and building up the next generation of Indian fighters something that you would aspire to accomplish?
Yeah, for sure. Like the amount of messages that I get of being told that have inspired the next generation and stuff. I have one of the longest running careers, if not as an Indian MMA fighter, but just as an MMA fighter in general. I've been fighting since 2007. And if you guys know, most pro careers don't last more than 6-7 years. And now in 2020, I'm still here, and I'm still like at it. And I still feel like I'm still hitting my biggest strides now. Just to stay around during the whole evolution. When I started, explaining MMA to an Indian audience was very frustrating because they only knew WWE and they thought it was fake. And I even fought in 3 of the biggest shows in India I fought on, and just doing the interviews after was frustrating enough because they had no concept of it. And then now to what it is now, and just being part of that whole run has been just awesome. And I don't plan to open up a gym or anything, but I do definitely, I think more than training, fighters need to be guided in the management aspect of it and how to navigate to make it to the bigger stages and stuff like that. I think where they get most fighters, not even Indian fighters, I think just fighters in general, where they get taken advantage is in those situations. Even in Vegas, a lot of my teammates come to me for advice because my background is business, and I kind of give them advice and stuff like that on how to kind of navigate to better contracts or how to kind of approach the situation better. I think there's more guidance needed in that area. So I love to manage fighters more than I would like to open up a gym and start teaching MMA and stuff like that.
Yeah, for sure. So, Gurdarshan, look, final question from us, and thank you very much for your time. You've talked about how in your childhood you were a massive fan of WWE, going on to have your own styled match with your family and friends. So I have to know, when are we going to see you walk out with your own 24/7 hardcore title for when you fight?
Dude, I would love to do that. Yeah, yeah, I would. Yeah, I'm sure you guys heard about the story about the hardcore title.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if you guys heard about it. Yeah, so that's like, it's legit. Like, that actually happened in my, like, and that was just one of the many things. I was having a hardcore title, and somebody would come knock on your door, and you always had to have another like kind of witness. So that was always the ref.
Yeah.
And he could get stuck right in your front yard, or rock bottom right in your front yard. My dad watched it happen a couple times, and then you show up to school early, and you got your belt, and you gotta watch your back from getting jumped or something like that. But I would love to dabble in pro wrestling. Like, I want my life to be something where I've lived out dreams that literally were impossible. Being a pro MMA fighter is one of them. Being somebody that didn't kind of fall into what I was supposed to, which was supposed to be a 9-to-5 accountant job, and still building a life where it's an amazing life that I've created, which is taking care of people around me and the home that I've built and stuff like that. So it's like, I was able to do everything that I was supposed to, but I was able to do it on my own terms and live a life that can't be really copied. So that's always been my goal. So if I can do pro wrestling even at the end of it, oh man, I'd love to be the Indian Rey Mysterio, Jinder Mahal or somebody, or Satnam Singh, something like that. And I'm always open to it, and I think the Indian audiences would love it too.
Yeah,
I'm always open to it. I'm definitely open to it.
Maybe get a faction between you, the Great Khali, and Jinder Mahal would be pretty cool.
So I've brought the idea to him a couple times. I'm like, dude, I'm always open.
Yeah, no, for sure. Well, look, Gurdarshan, thank you very much for your time today. We really appreciate talking to a martial artist such as yourself, who's been there and done it all and has been in the sport for so long. So look, thank you very much for your time. We'd love to talk to you again in future, and all the best in your training. And we can't wait to see you fight again soon.
Got to give a shout out to my boy, Cody Staman, who just fought.
Yeah, friend of the podcast. We've had him on before. Astonishing victory.
One of the hardest guys, and also got to give him a shout out that I told him any interview I did that the double leg that I was landing in the fight was all him. He showed me the technique on it, and that's why I was landing it in times that I don't even remember landing it, because I was so stunned in the fight. And every time I landed it, would just autopilot that I was landing it. So,
I'm going to post that clip. I'll post that clip for him.
All right. Well, awesome. Gurdarshan, thank you very much, man. And we'll talk to you again in the future.
You guys, appreciate it.
Appreciate it, man.